She was starving, shivering, and soaked in rain. But when the mansion door opened, she still whispered the same thing. "Can I clean your house for food?" She never expected the man behind the door to go completely silent, or to stare at her like he had seen a ghost. What he did next, no one saw it coming, not even her. Her name was Ava Monroe. She had not eaten in 2 days. Her coat was thin, her shoes were worn out, and her pride, it had shattered weeks ago. That morning, she rummaged through a trash bin behind a bakery and found nothing but stale crumbs. But then, she walked past a long stone wall lined with roses, and at the end of it stood a black iron gate guarding the most luxurious estate in the city. She stood there for 5 minutes, then 10. Then, stomach growling, hands shaking, she whispered to herself, "Just ask, one last time." She stepped forward and rang the bell. The gate opened slowly, as if it were unsure. Ava walked the winding path, her heart pounding in her chest like a war drum. At the grand door, she knocked once, then twice. It opened, and there he was, Adrian Vale, the billionaire who never smiled, the man with power, property, and a past no one could touch. He was tall, dressed in dark gray, with sharp eyes and a presence that made people step back. But he did not step back. He stepped forward. Ava looked up and stammered, "I'm not here to beg. If I could clean or sweep your porch, anything, I just need food." Rain dripped from her face. Her voice cracked mid-sentence. But Adrian? He froze. His eyes widened. His lips parted, but no sound came out. He stared, not at her rags, not at her bruised palms, but at her face. Like it meant something, like it reminded him of someone long gone. Seconds passed. He did not move. Then he whispered, almost breathless, "Where did you get that face?" Ava stepped back, frightened. I do not understand." But he did not explain. He opened the door wider. "Come inside." She hesitated. But something about his voice, about the way his hands trembled, she stepped in. The warmth of the mansion hit her like a wave, but it was nothing compared to the storm in Adrian's eyes. He called for his housekeeper, ordered food, a towel, then walked toward a locked drawer in his study, took out a dusty old photo, stared at it, then looked back at Ava, and whispered, "No, it cannot be her." She thought she was just hungry. He thought she was a stranger. But one photograph, one face, and suddenly everything changed. Now the billionaire who never let anyone in was staring at her like she held the key to a past he had buried for decades. And Ava, she had no idea she was standing in the middle of a secret too painful to speak. Ava sat quietly on the edge of a velvet chair in the billionaire's study. Her fingertips were still trembling, holding the warm bowl of soup he had handed her. It had been years since anyone had looked her in the eye with kindness. But Adrian Vale was not looking at her with kindness. He was looking at her like she had just opened the door to a locked room in his soul. He held the photo in one hand and a glass of whiskey in the other. His knuckles were white. "Where were you born?" he asked low. I do not know," Ava replied softly. "I was abandoned at a hospital when I was a baby. They said there was no note, no name, just me." Adrian's eyes burned with something deeper than shock. He turned the photo around and showed her. It was faded, creased at the corners, but Ava's breath caught the moment she saw it. A woman, young, beautiful, and holding a baby wrapped in a floral blanket. She had Ava's eyes. "I took this photo 23 years ago," Adrian said. "She disappeared that same night." Ava's heart dropped. Who was she?" He took a shaky breath. "She was the only woman I ever loved. And that baby? That was my daughter." Ava blinked, frozen. "What are you saying?" He did not answer. Instead, he walked to the drawer again, pulled out a birth certificate marked "Baby Girl, 11:56 p.m., and held it in his palm like a fragile treasure. "Your birthday," he said quietly. "Do you know it?" "July 12th," Ava whispered, nearly breathless. He nodded, tears forming in his eyes. "That was the night I lost everything." The room went silent. Ava stared at the bracelet, the photo, the billionaire in front of her, and suddenly her entire life felt like a lie. But before she could speak, the housekeeper burst in, pale and shaking. "Sir, someone's at the gate." "Who?" Adrian snapped. She hesitated, then said, "A woman. She says she's here for Ava, and she has a scar across her neck." Adrian's glass shattered. Ava's bowl slipped from her hands. And for the first time since she entered the mansion, she was truly afraid. She walked in asking for food, and now the truth was unraveling faster than anyone could stop it. Ava had no idea who she really was, but the scarred woman at the gate, she did. And when Adrian heard her name, his face turned pale, because what he had buried decades ago was coming back to life. Adrian's voice was tight. "Let her in now." The housekeeper hesitated. "Sir, she looks dangerous. I said let her in." The woman entered slowly. She wore a long black coat, soaked from the rain. Her face was thin, and a long scar stretched across the left side of her neck, disappearing beneath her collar. Her eyes locked onto Ava, like she had been waiting years to see her. Ava stood, still shaken. Do I know you?" The woman's voice was low. "No, but I have known you since the day you were born." Adrian's fists clenched. "Sabrina." Ava turned to him. "You know her?" He did not answer. The woman stepped closer, her hands trembling. "I was there that night, Adrian. You remember. The night she was taken." "I told you never to come near her," Adrian shouted, his voice cracking with rage. Ava's eyes widened. "What is going on? Who are you people?" Adrian took a deep breath, but his voice was broken. "She was my assistant once, trusted, loyal, or so I thought. She helped deliver my child. Then one night, both she and the baby vanished." Sabrina's voice was cold. "You left us no choice. Her mother was dying, Adrian, and you were ready to take the child away and disappear. She begged me, on her deathbed, to protect her daughter from you." Ava had her hands over her mouth. My mother?" Sabrina nodded. "Your real name is Isabel Vale, and the man standing in front of you is your father." Silence. The storm outside raged louder. Ava shook her head. No, that cannot be true." Adrian took a step forward, tears streaking down his face. "I searched for you for 20 years. I thought you were gone forever." Sabrina reached into her coat, slowly, carefully. Adrian moved to shield Ava, but Sabrina pulled out a small object, a tiny silver locket. Inside was a photo of a woman and a lock of baby hair. "She wore this the night I took her," Sabrina whispered, "and I have kept it with me ever since." Ava took the locket in shaking hands. Her fingers brushed over the worn silver and the tiny clasp. It clicked open. She looked inside and gasped. "I have seen her before. In my dreams." Adrian dropped to his knees and whispered, "That was your mother." But if Sabrina was telling the truth, why did she come now? And what dark secret has she still not revealed? She walked in for food and walked out with a father, a name, and a truth no one was ready to face. But behind all the tears, something darker still remained. Because Sabrina's secret, the one she had kept buried all these years, was not just about love.
It was about betrayal. And now the final piece of the past was about to fall into place. Ava stared at the locket in her hand as tears slid down her cheeks. It felt like the past had finally found her. A name, a mother, a father she never knew she had. Adrian watched her like a man who had been holding his breath for 23 years. But Sabrina, she looked haunted. "There is something else," she said softly. Adrian stiffened. "No, we are done here." But Sabrina did not move. She deserves to know the full truth about why her mother was running, about why she begged me to hide the baby. Ava looked between them. "Tell me, please." Sabrina's voice cracked. "Your mother, Julia, she loved Adrian. But his family, his empire, they threatened to take you away from her if she refused to give up her rights." Adrian's eyes widened. "That is not true," she interrupted. "You overheard your father on the phone. He said your child would be raised in legacy, not love." She panicked. She begged me to run before they could take her child. Ava stepped back. "You were going to take me from her?" Adrian's voice broke. "I did not know. I swear to you, I was trying to protect you both." Sabrina interrupted, voice shaking. "By hiding her in a mansion? Controlling every moment of her life? Julia was not running from you. She was running from the world you built." Ava sat down, overwhelmed. Everything she believed about herself had been shattered. Again. Adrian walked to her slowly, quietly. "I cannot change the past, but if you will let me, I want to be your father. For real this time." Ava looked up, her eyes full of tears, pain, and something new. Hope. She reached out and placed the locket in his hand. "I do not want your empire. I just want a family." Adrian nodded. "Then you will have one, starting today." Sabrina, still at the door, turned to leave. Ava called after her. "Wait. You protected me all those years. You gave me life when I had nothing. Stay, please." And for the first time, Sabrina smiled. They sat around the fireplace that night, not as strangers, not as broken pieces, but as people healing together. Ava never had to clean for food again. She had found something richer than gold. She found where she truly belonged.